for the year about 27.8 million. So we're starting the transition from KV Core. So there's some things that everyone needs to do, which we're going to pull it up real quick. So everyone needs to go onto their enterprise site and make sure that you've signed up for a KV Core platform. It's free, there's no charge in doing it. But when we make the transition, everyone has to have their KV Core site up and running, and then it'll flow into the new site, which we're gonna log in and kind of just show you guys real quick. Jacqueline, I know yours is all set up and rolling. You've been using it for a while?
Mine is from before I even switched over. So I've been using KV Core for about a year before I joined you guys.
Cool. So we'll have to make sure that yours is set up the right way.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look and do all that.
So first thing, when you come in on your enterprise, you'll go over to My Business, over here on the left, or was it, no, Optional Services, sorry.
Yeah, optional services.
You have to go to Optional Services and you have to opt in to KV Core on there. So you do that and then they'll send you the information to start setting it all up. So.
And once yours is all set up, it's very easy to go into the site. They also do have an app that you can download for your phone, but it's right on the main homepage of Enterprise. Are you guys logging into Enterprise a lot? So I log in about 10 times a day because I look at my stacks, and that's where I check revenue share and all that stuff. So
Tells you how you know when you can.
Yes. So it has all of your performance and everything right on there.
Ownership for mom and dad. You just can't be handed the house from mom and dad, as we all know, but sellers don't understand that. I've had 3 or 4 big fights in the last couple of weeks because people have been paying taxes on the property for 25, 30 years, and they don't understand that they didn't really ever have ownership of the house. While you can pay taxes on the property, you know, Mike can pay my taxes if he really wanted to. I give him the PRE every other week, and he neglects to fill it out for me. Just because you paid the taxes doesn't mean that you have ownership of the property. You're just paying the interest to keep it from going into tax foreclosure. Was there a trust? Was there a will? Was there a deed? You know, a Ladybird deed is a phenomenal execution right now. If you got people who are in nursing homes, mom and dad are alive, or one parent's still alive, and they want to do the quickest and easiest thing. Well, if Mike has a Ladybird deed on one of mom's properties, he has no ownership into the home. He doesn't have any tax purposes, no capital gains, unless mom passes, and then he's automatically, with a recorded death certificate, he goes into title. So if we're in a transaction and we know that somebody's at a nursing home still with this COVID spike and stuff like that.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So the Ladybird deed, it's all executed prior to, and then it gets recorded upon death with the death certificate.
But
so.
we don't even have to record it. If we have a situation where, you know, mom goes into the nursing home during the transaction, we're worried she's not going to make it in the next 3 weeks, we can hold that deed, give it to all parties, and say we're recording this at closing.
Okay.
So technically, we didn't change ownership. If she can sign, then we can't, because, you know, there's no power of attorney for a dead person. A lot of agents, I can't tell you how many times I hear, well, I got power of attorney. Well, you don't get powers from beyond. You know, when that person dies, they're gone, and their powers are gone too. Now, if they die Wednesday night and we're closing Thursday morning, we're in a little bit of a gray area. We could probably get that done, but it's way better if we know they're sick, if we have issues. Let's get the Ladybird deed set up and get it to a sibling who's gonna take over at this and be ahead of it.
Can you just explain a little bit more about the Ladybird? What is it?
So a Ladybird deed is a 9.3 Alta deed that basically, I'm not an attorney, so I can't get too technical with it, but like just like the Mike scenario, if he is on that deed, it will list out on the deed. What's your mom's name again?
Jan.
Jan Blake, an unmarried woman, is the owner of the property, and then she offers at her life estate 9.3 deed, Mike Blake would take that over. So he would be listed on there, but he has no true ownership until she passes.
So it's automatic transfer upon passing.
Right, and I mean, anyone can have a life estate, right? So as long as they're alive, they live in the house.
But title companies do not produce these. We're not attorneys, we don't practice law. We would have to get an attorney. I have one, will do a turnkey for me. He does it about between $250 and $350. We've already got the title search, so I can get that to him quick. As long as the customer says we're good, I can pass it along. And we can do it really seamless. Like, at the beginning of COVID, I did 15 of these. 12 of the people died.
You could set these up at any time?
Yep. So like at one point I was breaking in nursing homes, signing through glass and watching, the nurse hold it up. But we were getting them done because the people were going.
Well, a
And
lot
it's
of times
sad, but-
it's a lot faster of a process than you never want to go through probate.
Right.
Oh, God.
So if you already know who's going to get the asset upon death, you might as well get it set up prior to death.
And I mean, these are those uncomfortable conversations that we have to have with our clients to keep them protected. It's our job to have the not fun conversations on top of the, hey, here's an extra 10,000.
Yeah. And in that 60 to 90 days, probate, God knows how long it's gonna take.
6 months.
Yeah.
So it's just to paraphrase, I guess, it's a deed that automatically changes names upon death of the original owner. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, how does that affect me capital gains and tax purposes? Well, slow down.
Not
Go talk to a CPA.
Yeah.
Talk to a CPA. Go talk to a real estate attorney or a life estate attorney
Yeah.
about that. And they need to, because that attorney needs to set up that deed for them anyway. So that's really important that you don't get in the weeds with them on that, because that's on them how they're gonna get taxed.
How long does that take to set up?
Minutes.
Just
Honestly,
need
that is your fastest and quickest. If you got somebody who's not doing well,
Does it have to go through title?
we would.
No, I guess it doesn't, does it?
I would probably like if you go through my attorney that I'm using for these, I would probably be the one to go get it notarized, and then I hold on to the original, so that we're gonna record it right away, or we could just hold on to it because we're closing in 2 weeks. We'll do it all together just to have it in the, a sense of security.
Mhm.
They should be more popular than they are.
They really are. They should be.
Yeah.
It's especially with all this going on right now. Like unfortunately, when the older people are in nursing homes, they're getting this. They're not lasting.
I don't think people really know. I've heard the term before, but I've never really understood what it is.
It's just a really slick way of kind of protecting to keep you out of probate. That's
Wasn't
the
it
key.
Ladybird Johnson that
Yeah,
actually
you're
suggested-
reading you're googling more than me at that point.
Yeah, I think that's
don't
the
know.
reason it's actually called the Ladybird deed, is because she was doing it to protect senior citizens and their children, so.
So that's the one thing, and then explaining to customers, just because mom gave you the property doesn't mean it's yours. If you got multiple brothers and sisters, well, maybe they feel they have a claim to the right of the
Right.
property.
Right.
We're here to protect against lawsuits and interest on the title. So when you guys say, hey, we're ready to close, when I need that certificate of trust or I need a will, I don't want to be a pain in your butt, but I got to do certain things to make it clean, to make sure the ownership's good going forward.
And another thing, just because I'm dealing with it right now, so if you have clients that are business owners, and some business owners will take out loans and they don't really read the details of the loan, a lot of these business loans will lien their entire assets, including all of their residential real estate. So I have the house on Pond Valet, they own the lot next to it. They didn't realize we were supposed to close 2 weeks ago, that there's a lien on the entire property. So he got into some financial trouble, took out a loan to save his business, and every asset that he owns is now liened. So
And just because they did one, like if this was a lot right here, guys, like pretend this is a lot, right? I just have this one
it's just on our team
where this
page.
piece of property
So that
was bought
anyone
by Dad in 1967. He bought it as an unmarried man, and everything was fine. 5 years later, his wife and him buy this as a married couple, and they put a house across both parcels. He dies in the 90s. She never did probate on this piece of land. She put this into a trust. The trust attorney said, well, you really need to take care of this and get ownership of this, because she didn't have ownership of this piece of land. She didn't want to. So she put it in the trust, the attorney did it for her. The city remembers her, 20 years later. The kids have been paying taxes on it for 30 years, and now the son's trying to buy the property. I had to send him to probate because she illegally put this in. She never had ownership to own this property. Even though the house is sitting on there, we've got 15 years of eminent domain, but there's a cloud on title. So we had to fix the cloud on title so that they can do this transaction. I mean, this guy called me everything he possibly could. MF me, I don't know what I'm talking about. They are now being able to sue the attorney because the attorney malpracticed by allowing mom to do this. And she's passed. So, every level that we take out that somebody's passed, it makes it that much harder to go to court and fix the problems of the past. It took us 6 months to fix this one. And the people were willing to work, they listened, the wife listened to me, she's apologized profusely for her husband, but eventually they had to come back and admit this was all done wrong. So just because they told you they got a certificate of trust, they had a certificate of trust on this property. They tried to combine them both, the trust is null and void. We had to get mom ownership of this land so that we could pass the ownership to the estate.
Yeah, the further back that you go, the records are hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you don't get the stories, especially there was a piece of land right here that the farmer refused to give up, and this was a walking so he could walk to the lake to get to go fishing.
yeah,
And we had to account for that in probate too.
we had to deal with that a little bit at the orchard. The original parcel of land was bought in 1946, and it was bought from another family, and nothing was recorded properly. Then my grandpa died, and he had it passed on to all 13 of his kids.
Mm-hmm.
5 years later, they're trying to go through a refi, and imagine trying to pull up the records for 13 kids, trying to get them all to sign off on it, going back to the original family who's all dead. Talk about a nightmare.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Whenever you start talking Macomb, farmland, and split parcels, add 2 weeks, because the searches, it just takes longer with those searches, and they're so comprehensive. Yep. Run pre-title. So, I always bring scenarios, but nothing teaches you guys more. If you guys had any weird scenarios, any issues that you're having that you've run into, that maybe you had to work with another title.